Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Victory Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show. And man, what a weekend. So many things to get to. We've got, I think, maybe one of the top 5 most entertaining Buccaneers games of all time that we got to break down. Just an insane amount of stuff that happened in this game. We've got a ton of college football to talk about. I was at the FSU Miami game. Incredible atmosphere. Got to sit in the West Club as well, their new West Club. We'll give you a little tour of that. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The game, not so much. USF is back into the top 25. That's pretty cool. And we have an absolute Donnybrook between the Lightning and Panthers that we really, really got to talk about. So much to get to. Good morning to you, Nick Geddes. How are you, my friend? Nice.
I am.
Pat, I like that.
I was going to say, is this a safe space now? Can we wear the cream? Can I wear the creamsicle curse free? I had to wear, I tucked the shirt out. I put the hat on. Maybe all along it was just that orange one. Maybe it's just that orange one, I guess, just can't play. But the white one, you know what? It looks better. I got to tell you, I think it looks even way better than the creamsicle one.
Oh, God, yes.
And clearly 2-0 in the damn thing. So it's a safe space. So I brought it back out.
It's a broadcaster's nightmare. You cannot see the freaking numbers, but who cares? It's beautiful. It's beautiful because it's 2-0 more than anything else.
Right.
And what a game. What a game. Let me set up the show real quick. Eric Erlinson is going to join us at 10:45 to talk a little bit of hockey, which we have to do after what the hell went down between, two of the best teams in the league. And it's unlike anything I've ever seen in hockey, although I did a post-game show with Brian Engblom and Bobby the Chief Taylor on Thursday night. And, to them, this was just, oh yeah, we've seen this many a times. This is, they used to have a rule where you could come off the bench and fight. And so there would be literally bench clearing brawls. And then, 50 people would get ejected. Well, if there wasn't a rule about having to stay on the bench, that would have happened. Probably Thursday night and definitely Saturday night, without question. Probably would have had to end the game. So we'll talk some hockey with Eric Erlinson. What was it? I think I have the numbers here. 16 ejections Saturday night, 65 penalties, 322 penalty minutes. It's so funny. I'm sitting there. We're sitting having it at the tailgate party. And, the alert comes over my phone from the Lightning. The Lightning have called up 7 skaters for tonight's game. And I'm like, this is exactly what we predicted after Thursday night's game. Like, we should, they need to call everybody back up. Don't bring Kucherov. Don't bring any of those guys, and just go down there and have an old school Donnybrook. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what the Lightning needed to do.
I turned off the FSU Miami game at some point because I was like, honestly, I was sitting in the UCF press box and I was like, I'm reading like all the tweets, the Lightning tweets were coming in, and I was like, this looks entertaining as hell. And the FSU game was not really entertaining.
Not so much. Yeah.
I watched the whole thing up in the press box, a preseason game.
Yeah, it was incredible. So we'll get to all that, but of course we have to begin with the Buccaneers 38-35 win over Seattle. I mean, are you not entertained? I mean, talk about storylines in this one. If indeed there are NFL script writers, they need the Emmy for this one because it was incredible. The scene was, it was electric. I wasn't there, but the people that were told me it was just insanely electric. A beautiful 62-degree day. Both teams in their throwback uniforms. 2 quarterbacks, the leaders of these teams, coming off the career rehabilitation heap, and to now play one of the best games I've ever seen quarterbacks play. Both of and historic as well. Both, I think, over 80% completions, over 325 yards. Had never happened before in the history of the game. That's how good these guys played at quarterback. And yeah, we can take shots at the Bucs defense all we want, but Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith in Jigba and that entire crew there, Kenneth Walker, that is a talented talented group, and they played at a very, very high level. I kind of likened it to watching the Skinner and Alcaraz matches that we've seen recently, where they're playing, go back to Nadal and Federer. And when you have two guys that are just playing at an elite level, and it's we want to jump all over the defenses, and both defenses were beat up, missing tons of cornerbacks and whatever. I don't care. Both quarterbacks were spot on. The way of Baker, when you go back and look at this game, as I did, I started watching it at 4:30 in the morning. That's why I'm dog tired. But it's amazing to me how many plays Baker Mayfield makes with his legs, how many times he escapes and makes huge plays. On that final drive, two of those plays, the one to Otten, he escapes, and I don't know how he didn't get sacked on that one, throws it out to the outside and he gets 25 yards to put him into scoring position. Time and time again, the touchdown to Sterling Shepard that tied the game. I mean, what a throw. What a throw. To your left, and to square your shoulders and get enough on that ball to throw it 25 yards as defenders. I mean, that's an insanely hard throw to make in that situation. And probably should have been Darnold's throw on his last touchdown to Holton out there. How does he escape Yaya and Reddick? Reddick's got to get him on the ground there. He has got to get him on the ground there. And Hassan Reddick is not played up to what we need him to play, quite frankly. That's a play that you got to make, and he knows that. But time and time again, this was one of the most entertaining. And then, of course, the oldest player on the field, Levante David, makes the interception that really saved the game. Because, look, I mean, at that point, you think the Seahawks are 27 yards from field goal position. And let me say this. I think this is a huge theme to this season. I talked about it all off season, Nick. What did I say was the thing that was going to be the difference in this season? Game management. Game management. Last year, this team was 2-6 in 7-point games, and here they sit 4-1, tied for the best record in the league. The first team in the history of the NFL to win 4 games, four of the first 5 games by 3 points or less. And that is a testament. And that we have absolutely documented all season long how they have changed their game management. And the bottom line is they're going to do everything they possibly can to make sure that Baker Mayfield has the ball at the end. Now, they had to score a little bit early, and they did leave a minute or change for the Seahawks in a tie game. And instead of sitting back, now the first play, they rush 4, played zone, Cooper, and they give Cooper Kupp 9 yards. And I'm like, there's no way we're not going to pressure the quarterback. We're not going to do what we did last year and just let Jaden Daniels go right down the field and kick a game-winning field goal. We're going to pressure the quarterback, right? And on the next play, Winfield does a great job of disguising the blitz, firing through the gap, and hitting Darnold as he throws, causing him, the announcer's kind of like, oh, the ball hit the helmet. The ball hit the helmet because as Darnold is throwing, Winfield, as fast, he gets to the quarterback so fast that he knocks him off his balance and he tugs the ball down. That makes it hit the helmet, and that puts it right into Levante's arms, who then catches it, which is kind of important. He catches the ball. And then what do the Bucs do? Another great drive, right? Rachaad White stops and gets on the ground. I mean, these are not things the Buccaneers have done in years past. So the game management has, and if you want to give Zach Beisline, whatever, want to give him the credit, I don't care. Fine. Give Bowles, I don't care who gets the credit, but he has prepared, and Bowles has been talking about this. It's not just when and where to call timeout. He's been preparing these players for how to play in 2-minute situations, knowing Rachaad White, do not go out of bounds, get on the ground, set up the field goal, eat all the time. And that's exactly what they did. Didn't leave Seattle any time left. And what can you say about Emeka Egbuka? My God, going home, another great storyline, going home to the Seattle area, 7 catches, 163 yards, a touchdown, every big play you need, a huge play on the second to last drive to get him into scoring position. I can't say enough how great of a route runner this kid is, how he finds the zones. And he already is like a 10-year veteran, knowing when to sit down in the zone, over the middle, down the sideline in the cover 2 hole. Just time and time again, he does things that you just absolutely marvel at. And by the way, for all those let's trade Rachaad White people, STFU, as we said back then, no, Rachaad White is a really good football player, a great football player, actually. Bucky's just tremendously good. But Rachaad White is a starting back for 90% of the teams in this league. And he's incredibly versatile, catches the football, runs the football, blocks his ass off. And also, another shout out to Tristan Wirfs, who led for 2 touchdowns, one for Rachaad White, was an absolute, impregnable on that side in terms of pass blocking. He changes everything. He allowed Otten to finally be part of this offense. And Otten was huge in this game, absolutely huge. So there's so many heroes in this game, so many big plays. But the bottom line is this. They have a quarterback that is becoming legend on so many levels. Everybody's now talking about Baker Mayfield for MVP. Jason Whitlock's talking about it. Mike Green. It's all over Twitter. And that's because all this guy does is win in the clutch. Time and time again. The velocity of the throws, the one to Ibuka, the roll to the left, one to Shepard, the escape, and then the moxie, getting in the face, when guys were getting in each other's faces down, who's leading the way? It's Baker Mayfield. And he is becoming a legend in this league. And if he can lead this team to a Super Bowl, and let me tell you what, who's more confident in the last 2 minutes? It's like watching Mahomes now. When Mahomes has time, he's going to get it done. And the same thing with Baker. When he has time, he's going to get it done. And when you have a quarterback like that, it changes the entire dynamic. Your team never quits. He'll never allow you to quit because you always got a shot. That's the way it was with Brady. That's the way it is with the Mahomes. That's how the great ones play. And if you look at his numbers over the last 3 years, they're better than everybody's in football in the key metrics. And now he's cutting down on his turnovers and 10 touchdowns, 1 interception, 65% completion, over 1,200 yards, and 4 game-winning comebacks. You can't play I guess you could have beat Philadelphia with a game-winning comeback, and he almost did that too. So, with a team that has no Evans, no Bucky, no Cansey, no Mauk, no Gedeke, no Morrison, no Jamel. You got to be kidding me. To go into Seattle, to that place and win a game like that. Of course, I think I had this one nailed during the game. I said during the week, I said the Bucs are going to lose a low-scoring affair. Nah, sorry, I blew that one. I didn't see this one coming at all. But it's a testament to 2 really, really good quarterbacks and a lot of good football players on the field making plays. It was as entertaining a game as I think I've ever seen the Bucs play. And you can circle this one and go watch it 1,000 times because you'll never get bored. It was amazing.
Yeah, there's so many like MVP performances and helmet stickers to pass around, I guess. To a lot of guys, mostly on the Bucs offense. We can get to the defense later, but I don't want to start with that. It's all Baker Mayfield. Listen, it was a shame that one of those quarterbacks had to lose. It really was. Like, neither of them deserved to lose that football game. And I kept saying to myself, man, if the Buccaneers lose this game and they waste this performance by Baker Mayfield, because he was unconscious. He was playing the position as high of a level that you could possibly play it. I know they say a perfect quarterback rating is 158.3. Baker Mayfield finished with a 134.7. I don't know how they come up with that. What foot did he put wrong in this football game? Four incompletions. The ball barely touched the ground the entire game. Yeah. 379 yards, 2 touchdowns. And
2 of them were drops. At least 2 were drops.
I was going to say Chris Godwin dropped a big third down pass early in the game.
And I wouldn't say it's a drop. He got hit before the ball got there. Should have been a pass interference, but I guess you call that a drop. And there was another one that was a throwaway.
Yeah, the ball was never put in harm's way. It was never put in harm's way. I mean, this was. I feel like we've been able to say this more lately, but this was true. Yeah. This was the best performance of Baker Mayfield's time in a Buccaneer uniform. This was the best performance of his entire career. And I'm just going to say it. I'm over hearing people talk about Baker Mayfield and going, well, this is such a nice story. This is such a great comeback. and he's and all F all that, man. No, Baker Mayfield has arrived. He is legitimately one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. And as we sit here today, after 5 weeks of football in the season, long season to go, he's right there in the MVP discussion alongside Daniel Jones, if you can believe it. But that is very true. He's right there next to Jared Goff. He's right next to Josh Allen, who took a little bit of a step back last night in the game against the Patriots. Great finish there, by the way. But yeah, it's not a good story. It's not a fun story anymore. He's just that damn good. Like, I can't, and again, you rattled off the names. Like, I think I don't think we're losing sight of that, but I think people need to remember the Bucs are doing this 4-1, winning all of these games close, finding a different way to win these football games. And now you did it against a good opponent. You want to tell me, oh, the Texans aren't this and the Falcons aren't that and the Jets stink. Well, you know what? The Seattle Seahawks came into this game playing as good a football as anybody in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And you just put 38 up on them, and you went into that stadium where that fan base, was going to be rabid. And I didn't see any issues with the Bucs, dealing with the noise level or anything like that. They handled it so well. They were so composed. It always felt like the offense, if they could just get the ball last, they were going to make the big play to win the game. And, if you look beyond Baker Mayfield, you shouted out Tristan Wirfs. I mean, again, if you took that guy for granted before he was injured, I mean, what a weapon to have a left tackle like that. He is. I don't know what the Bucs ranking said. I think he was ranked like the 8th or 9th best player in franchise history. The guy's going to be a top 5 Buc of all time and a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. I mean, that's the most obvious statement you can make. He is just fantastic. Emeka Egbuka, or as Rob Gronkowski said yesterday on the Fox postgame show, Emeka Egbuka, or whatever. Emeka Egbuka, as Rob Gronkowski said yesterday.
Got a big boo.
Goodness. Yeah. I mean, going home and 7 targets. He caught all seven of them. He was flawless in that football game. I don't know what's more impressive, the fact that he's this good right away from a talent standpoint and a production standpoint, or just how composed he is and how the moment is just not too big for him. And he seems so grounded. I mean, and again, the Bucs have another star receiver on their football team. And once again, not a diva. He doesn't have an attitude. He's not crying for the football. Like, it's almost like they were able to get another Chris Godwin, Mike Evans clone in the way that he handles himself off the field. And I'm telling you, that is very hard to do at a position like that, which we know invites a lot of diva into it. So that was special. Where are all the Cade Otton haters at today that have been crying about the fact that he's not producing? Yeah, he's been blocking his ass off on the line and doing all the dirty work. Well, yesterday they got him involved in the football game. And Cade Otton, I'm telling you, that little screen pass they threw to him to get a 17-yard gain on a first down there in the fourth quarter, the balance by Cade Otton, who's not the most, I wouldn't call him the most coordinated athlete in the world, but on that play, that could have been blown up for a loss of 2. He catches that ball, and it looks like he's going to get a shoestring tackle, and he's going to fall over himself. And instead, he turns it into a 17-yard gain for a first down, and that was a big third down pickup, and then they ended up getting the score there, the throw to Egbuka, that was perfect. I mean, it was just in Rachaad White, the blitz pickups for him all day, how smart he was. The Bucs didn't really have much to run. They didn't have a great running game in this game. They really have not found a running game all year, but a lot of that has to do with the blocking up front. But he's such a smart football player, and he made smart plays all throughout that day. So he is irreplaceable for sure. And then Lavonte David at the end, I think we all were thinking when the Bucs scored, we were like, oh, there's too much time left on the clock. Seattle's going to. There's 3-4 plays. They're going to be in field goal range, and Myers is going to hit another game-winning field goal, and that's how it's going to end. And Lavonte David, who had honestly a terrible football game. Lavonte David, I mean, this has to be it for his career, I would say. I mean, you're watching a legend in front of your eyes that's slipping. But of all the interceptions that he has dropped throughout his career, he makes a tough, and that was a tough play. He wasn't even really looking at the football. It just sort of like fell into his arms, and somehow he holds on to it. Shout out Logan Hall for his helmet being in the right place at the right time there.
That was Winfield's play, man. And that was
Winfield's play. And that was good on Bowles to dial that up because the Bucs had, zero pass rush all day. I don't think Sam Darnold ever got hit, but he saved the corner, the safety blitz there for the play that mattered the most. And Antoine Winfield, who is very much so like Rondé Barber, one of the best already blitzers from the secondary of all time. And he gets there and you make the play of the game. So
and he also
so much good to go around.
He also had a pick on a deflected ball. Once again, officiating was absolutely dreadful in this game. And from when you think about that call that was on Zion, illegal contact, as Smith was running down the field, in there, it's just a garbage call. He even actually took his hands off after 5 yards, and the call was late. It was after the ball was intercepted.
It was after Winfield got tackled.
Unbelievable. It's just nobody wants to be the conspiracy theory, blah blah blah. But you're just begging for it when you make calls like this. You're just begging for it, and and then you look at last week how they allowed the Eagles corners to play. Like they were mugging people all the way down the field. And then you get another crew that doesn't let you touch. You can't have a league like this. Yeah, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. I'm going to stick to what the Bucs did here. But my God, you can't have that much inconsistency from crew to crew on what's a catch, what's not a catch, what's interference, what's not, what's illegal contact, what's not, what's roughing the passer, what's not. It's just ridiculous. You have to have some uniformity to officiating. It goes without saying, but this is
it's relevant to bring up because those things could have changed the outcome of that football game. Seattle ended up scoring on that drive because they scored on like every drive they had in the second half up until the end there. Like those are game-changing plays, and I saw that happen. I'm like, wow, the Bucs finally made a play and got an interception, and it's like the football gods just like refused to allow it. That's just like the way it is. But again, the Buccaneers, it's like it doesn't matter what goes wrong for them. And there was so much that went wrong for them yesterday.
Exactly.
My goodness, special teams. It's like if it's not, it's every unit on special teams. They're just playing whack-a-mole. They're taking turns of who's going to F up next. And yesterday it was like the kick return unit was trash. It gave Seattle some easy fields to work with. So we keep saying that's got to get cleaned up. I just don't know anymore. But all these things are going wrong for the Bucs, and they just stay in it, though. They just stay in it, and they believe. And believe is a hell of a drug when it comes to sports.
Listen, I am not got to fire this guy, especially midseason type of. I very rarely call for something like that. But this special teams coach, this is brutal. It's brutal. You see this kick return or kick coverage unit. The elementary mistakes that they're making and what they're doing out there. And, it's been punt protection, although, Riley had a good day yesterday. He had a huge punt to the 1 yard line, flipped the field once. And
shout out to him. Shout out to him, by the way. He downed it to the 1. Granted, the Bucs allowed them to go 99 yards, but he downs it to the 1 right there. But before he punted the football, shout out to him for realizing there were only 10 guys on the field. Because
how is that possible? And are you kidding me? We've had 2 punts blocked. It's the most crucial part of the game, and we got 9 blockers on the. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? How is that even possible? That's coaching, man. You got to get these guys ready. They are not ready. Listen. Maybe they're going to wait for the bye week, but they got to do something. That's structurally these teams are so bad. All right, so Nikki numbers. I'm going to steal your mantra for numbers here. I'm going to go the Bucs notes that they put out after the game. It's really historic. So I got to go through some of these. All right. According to the AP, the Buccaneers are the first team in NFL history with 4 wins by 3 or fewer points in their first 5 games in the history of the league. All comeback wins, by the way, all engineered comeback wins. Tampa Bay remains in first place in NFC South. They have held the share of first place 63 of the last 77 weeks. Suck it, New Orleans and Atlanta. The Buccaneers' 426 yards of offense on Sunday marked their most in a game this season, and the most since week 17. And by the way, shout out to Josh Grizzard. Some of the calls and the ingenuity in this run game, and I know the run game wasn't huge, but they ripped off a couple of big ones when they really, really needed it. And that little trickery play that they gave to Sterling Shepard behind the back, if Rachaad White gets his block, Shep's in the end zone. That was that thing was blocked up perfectly, except for Rachaad in the backfield. Mayfield ranks tied for third in passing touchdowns in the league, fourth in yards, fourth in touchdown to interception ratio, and ninth in passer rating, but number one in terms of winning games, right? Absolutely. 29 of 33 passes, 87.9% for 379 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, earns a 134.7 passer rating. His 87.9 completion percentage was the highest by any quarterback in a game this season, second highest of his career. Mayfield is one of 4 players since the 1970 merger with 375 plus passing yards and a completion percentage above 85%, joining Brady, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert. Only Mayfield, Brady, and Jackson have done so while averaging over 10 yards per pass. Per CBS, Mayfield is the first quarterback in NFL history with 375 and fewer than 5 incompletions in a regular season game. I mean,
yeah,
like in the history of the freaking league.
And I'll even add. Go ahead, finish your thought there.
He did it, and he did it under constant pressure.
Yeah,
constant pressure without Mike Evans.
Yeah, it's insane. And even some of the throws he was making, you shouted out the Sterling Shepard throw. I mean, pound for pound, he's got the strongest arm in the league. I mean, I don't think there's even a debate about it at this point. I don't care how tall he is or anything. That guy has an absolute rope on him. And I guess we got to give flowers to Sterling Shepard. I think we've been trying to do that this year, but Sterling Shepard might be approaching you with your age, to be honest with you. And I mean, this guy literally was teetering on being out of the league a couple years ago after the end of his Giants career. He was out of the league. The Bucs just brought him off the street. I mean, like I've been saying, this guy is the greatest number 5 receiver in the history of an offense in the NFL. I mean, he's just constantly the safety blanket for Baker Mayfield when they need something. I can't say enough about his performances this season and especially yesterday. But how about this stat too? I think the Bucs might have put it in their notes too, but this one's about Emeka Egbuka, first player in NFL history with 25 plus receptions, 400 plus receiving yards, and 5 plus receiving touchdowns through his first 5 career games. I mean, just like you said, it's historic. We're not just throwing that word around. This is absolutely historic what we are seeing.
So what you're saying is it's the best start for a career of any wide receiver in the freaking history of the league.
Yeah, I don't know if we can get in contact with Canton, Ohio, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but we should start getting Emeka's measurements for his gold jacket right now. We probably should just get it going. I don't want to overreact, but I think we should. Yeah,
I mean, it's just ridiculous what's going. And by the way, hello, Tez Johnson. Thank you. 4 receptions for 59 yards. And my favorite play was the one over the middle where he ducks down at the last second and the 2 Seahawks collide.
Oh, yeah. They took each other out. I think Nick Emmanwori left the game there, I think, after that play.
And I may push back a little bit on the Levante David thing, okay? He finished tied for the team lead in tackles with 9, 1 for loss, and the game-sealing interception. Now, I know he got beat for the touchdown by the tight end. But that's a tough play for a linebacker to make. There were a couple others that I'm not, I thought he played really well in the first half. Thought he had a couple of missed tackles.
The whole defense did in the first. I mean, first half they pitched a shutout just about.
I thought they played really well, and there were a couple moments. The one I'm really worried about is Servassier Dennis. He is lost. He is lost. I don't know.
He came out of his shoes from Kenneth Walker at one point in that football game.
Yeah. You don't know exactly who was responsible for the tight end. When Barner was wide open in the back, he was pointing at somebody else. So I don't know. He certainly thought somebody else was going to cover him. And I don't know if he thought wrong or not, but nobody covered him. And so that was bad. A couple of run fits. He was just absolutely destroyed for big plays. He on the one touchdown by Charbonneau up the middle, it looked like that was his gap. So we don't know exactly what the responsibilities are and what the calls are in our every play, but just rewatching the game, he's struggling. He's really, really struggling, and I did not expect that. I really thought him to be good, be really good this year. Oh, by the way, Chase McLaughlin, who was, let's just call it the stomach bug, shall we? 3 for 3, the game winner. Money McLaughlin. I don't know what else you can say.
I don't even get worried anymore when he lines up to take a field goal. I just don't, and it's such a great feeling.
And the same, trade Rashad White. People were like, let's bring in kickers after a couple of misses. Sometimes you guys got to slow down, and we're not. So I'm not gonna. And I know we're gonna talk about the defense, and it wasn't great, but I'm gonna say this: Jackson Smith-Njigba is the real freaking deal. He is the real freaking deal, and he's hard to cover. He's really, really hard to cover. And Darnold was spot on, man. Darnold was not under duress the entire game. Had really nice pockets to throw from, and it's just and when you're playing man to man, or zone, it doesn't matter. That kid's gonna beat you. He's freaking really good. And he was the complete focus of their offense. And Kenneth Walker ain't too shabby either. So, I'll just say that the defense wasn't great, but they were good enough to win.
Yeah, they were. And they had moments too where I felt like they were. Somebody's got to make a play on the football. In a story. Jacob Parrish. There was a long pass there to who was that? Who was that guy that made that big play over him? I think Derek Young. I think that big pass over to the left side, and Jacob Parrish is looking at it, and he just kind of gets mossed right there. Doesn't make a play on the football. Antoine Winfield had a bad rep against Jackson. It was a great play by Smith-Njigba, but you're hoping that Antoine Winfield can make a play there. Parrish was literally like a half a second away from jumping a little stick route there to Cooper Kupp and getting a big interception. He's getting very close to getting his first interception as a Buck. It's going to come, and then at the end of the half. Every play matters, and I thought that was going to be a big moment in that game. Sam Darnold throws a pass, and Zion McCollum jumps it right there at the goal line. If he catches that football, he's going the other way, and it's 20-0 going into half. And
how about off the 1 yard line? Yaya, he throws the ball right to Yaya.
Oh my God!
Right through his hand.
That's when I thought the Bucs were going to lose the game. I was just like, nope, it's just that everything's going Seattle's way on offense. Like, they just can't make a play. Of course, it falls to Cooper Kupp's hands, who has just been a Bucs killer his entire career. I thought that's when I thought they were going to lose the game when I saw that happen. Yeah,
that was. We're just the defense is this close to making some really, really big plays, but that don't count.
I give them credit though. I give them credit. They got 2 turnovers, and that was the difference in the football game. The Bucs got a score on turnover, and then they got the big one late to win it. And they won the turnover battle yesterday. When you win the turnover battle in tight games, you win it. Shocker.
Bringing Jalen Milroe in to run one option play, and he pitches it behind.
Oh, that was so silly.
That
was so silly.
Oh Lord, that was not what you're looking for right there. Sorry to say. All right, we got much more to get to. We're going to get to your comments when we come back. We also have Eric Erlinson coming up here at 10:45, so we'll chat with him as well. We'll get to your comments in the second hour, and we'll get to some college football as well. I was at the FSU game. I haven't seen the TV copy just yet because I really don't want to listen to Kirk Herbstreit. But anyway, it was a beatdown. They're local, they are trusted, and they get results. Get your free case evaluation at jeeveslawgroup.com. Email them, call them, they'll take care of you. They're local, they are trusted, and they get results. Not a Churchill spokesman, offices Tampa and St. Pete. We're also brought to you by the great folks at Genesis of Tampa. They had their grand opening this weekend. It was a huge success. Bunch of USF players there signing autographs. Go Bulls, 24th in the nation. How about that? Genesis of Tampa. Go test drive those cars and tell them JP sent you. Back in 3.
Experience the art of driving at Genesis of Tampa, where luxury meets innovation and every detail is crafted for you. From the bold G70 to the refined GV80, Genesis delivers power, elegance, and technology years ahead of its time. Book service online, and our Genesis Experience advisors will pick you up and drop off your vehicle. If available, you can enjoy a courtesy car while yours gets a complimentary interior vacuum plus a generous offer for your trade. Every new Genesis comes with the Miracle Advantage Plan, 10 years or 250,000 miles of powertrain warranty and 4 years of complimentary maintenance. Visit us at 801 East Bears Avenue or online at genesisoftampa.com. Genesis of Tampa, luxury redefined. Italiano Insurance would like to congratulate the Bucs on their 50th anniversary season. And you know what? We've been here for every season and then some, over 60 years in business. We've seen some smart coaches with great game plans, but if you don't have flood insurance or business insurance, that's a terrible game plan. That could ruin you financially. You don't want to take that L. So call 813-877-7799 and let their friendly agents quarterback your insurance and save you big money. Italiano also sponsors our FSU report every week, so go Noles. 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com. JP here for Riveters, our new official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. And just like our show, no BS, no corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard of prices. Riveters is located just south of Raymond James and Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry, walking distance to the park, so free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. Let's talk about fresh food. Nothing is frozen. Burgers, wings, prime rib, roasted fresh daily, never frozen. That makes a huge difference. The mahi, the salmon, also super fresh. All our sauces are original recipes made in-house. Our Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup is made fresh in-house. It's the best food anywhere, served by people who actually care. Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of where the Bucs and Rays play. We'll see you there. Are you looking to renovate your home, rebuild after the hurricanes, or build your dream home from scratch? Well, let me tell you about my friend Jason Fawcett and On-Site Construction. They have over 1,450 satisfied clients, 25 years of experience, over 500 designs, and a talented team of over 40 construction professionals. They believe building something exceptional begins by truly focusing on all the details, even the smallest ones. We understand that construction can be a daunting process, and we're here to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible. Quality is non-negotiable at On-Site Construction. We use the finest materials, employ the most skilled tradespeople, and adhere to the highest industry standards to deliver a product we're proud of and that you're going to love. Our project management is meticulous with a focus on completing projects on time and on budget. Your happiness is our primary driver. So give us a call at 813-579-5789 or check out our incredible website at onsiteconstructionfl.com. Are you having legal issues with a business partner or other legal business issues? The attorneys at Walters, Levine, and DeGrave can help. Call 800-616-0384 for a free consultation. At Walters, Levine, and DeGrave, we've redefined what a law firm can be with top-tier attorneys, personal service, and 26 years of success. From business law to civil litigation, we deliver smart, client-focused solutions. Walters, Levine, and DeGrave recently won a $6.4 million jury verdict from a large real estate developer, and they can win for you too. Walters, Levine, and DeGrave. Let's solve it together. Not attorney spokesman. For a free consultation, call 800-616-0384 or go to walterslevine.com. Offices Tampa, Sarasota.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Riveters, the official bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. Also, it is the official Gator Club bar, Gator Club of Tampa. So there was a lot of Gator fans watching that big win over Texas. How about I think I kind of called that one last week, Mickey. I told you, Gator fans, don't despair. Texas is coming. You can beat them, and they did. What a win. So if you ever want to watch a Gator game with all your buddies in the Gator Club of Tampa, it is at Riveters each and every time. Any sporting event. We got baseball this week, Monday Night Football tonight. It's Riveters. Greatest happy hour in town, 3 to 7, $5 domestics, $3 domestic drafts, and the food is fabulous. I was there last week. Had a tremendous, their burgers, so good. Ground sirloin and made the way you want them. So check it out. Riveters right there on Dale Mabry next to that spaceship there. You want to check it. Y'all know where that is. Riveters. All right, let's do a little comments from the great folks here, the Petermans, if you will. Sergio Biltres was in here this morning. He says, good morning, JP and Petermans. Victory Monday. How sweet it is. Great win for the Bucs. Still need to fix kickoff coverage, and edge rushers were a no-show. D will recover this Sunday. There's one thing, Sergio, I am concerned about because it's not like there's help on the way. It's the edge rush. What? I don't.
I can't figure that out.
Yeah.
I felt like Hassan Reddick was playing really well before this game, to be honest. I just didn't think he was getting the sacks, but he was being asked to do a lot of things, I thought. But yesterday, I'm looking for like a killer instinct from him or Yaya at some point in that game. And I know it's there in Hassan Reddick. I just don't know if it exists in Yaya Diaby.
If you look at I saw this defensive metric on Twitter, basically pressures, fumbles, interceptions, any type of impact
it's
plays.
havoc rate, they call it.
Havoc rate, yeah. Thank you very much. Tackles for loss. The Bucs are leading the league. How is that possible? How is that possible? But honestly, that's a key to winning. I would rather lead that stat than total defense yards, because it's in an offensive league, it's getting game-changing, plays that stop drives, which usually havoc plays are sacks, all those. So it also tells you that there's better days coming for this defense. It's just not necessarily. Yeah, we talked about they're a tick away, right?
They just pitched. It's crazy because they pitched a shutout almost in the first half. They completely shut down the Eagles in the second half. The game before, we were coming into this game, and honestly, I had way more questions about the offense than I did the defense. And I know Morrison and Dean didn't play, and maybe that didn't help, but it wasn't like that was the one singular thing where I was like, okay, well, those two guys aren't playing, so now the whole defense is just crap. I don't think it was that. It was just there were other things that reared their ugly head yesterday. Unfortunately,
we couldn't cover Jackson Smith and Jigba. That was number one, and we couldn't cover the tight end. Yeah, and we couldn't cover Barner. The tight end was just killing us. In a lot of big plays, and that's probably a lot of Servassier Dennis. Probably some Levante David involved in that. Probably some Tyke Smith. It changes every play, but and
they also, it was the first time the dam broke and they allowed a team to really just get the rushing game going against them.
Yeah.
And that does not spell good if that continues, for sure.
I think this is the first time in 12 games that we've not run for 100 and allowed the other team to run for 100. Either one.
Yeah.
Kenneth McCleary says that definitely was a complete game. I feel played by the offense for the first time this season. Yeah, by the offense. Yeah. Kenneth McCleary says the bad news is Seminoles don't look anywhere near a top 25 team. Castellanos looks like a 50-50 quarterback at best. Let me just say this, and we'll get into it a little bit later in the second half of the show, but just real quick, incredible atmosphere. By the way, shout out to Jeff Italiano, who gave me two of his beautiful 50-yard line West Club tickets. It's just an incredible experience on a night like that. It was insane. I mean, it's just the sight lines. You're right down there. You see, it was just insane. So let's I'll say this. Castellanos, and I knew this when they signed him. I said this. So if you sign Castellanos, your floor is probably 7 wins, but your ceiling's 9. He's not going to beat the good teams. He's just not.
No, he's not built to play from behind in a football game. Yeah. And the pressure difference in that game, Miami had 42 pressures against FSU in that game. Ruben Bain had 11 of them. FSU's defense completely had 7 pressures in that game.
Right.
I mean, he was running for his life a lot, but he was also trying to make too many hero plays, I felt like. And that sort of contributed to the turnovers. And Miami looks like the best team in the nation. So
yeah, and I thought they were, and I thought they would win this game. I said that we need some Seminole Saturday night magic to win it. We sure could have used that interference call right off the top. I mean, FSU drives down the field. The Miami defers. FSU drives. They get down there. Deuce is one-on-one in the corner, and he's just absolutely mugged with the ball in the air. And I don't know how you don't call that. And, of course, Kirk Herbstreit is like, oh, that's good on good, hand fighting there. No, that's defensive pass interference every day, all day. And then if FSU, and of course, they'll put them inside the 5. They were running the football. They probably score a touchdown there. Does it change the game? I don't know. Maybe the momentum, maybe Miami gets a little bit tight. They were the better team. There's no question about it. But Castellanos can't turn the ball over. And that's what he's done most of his career. And when it was 28-3, I said, I want to see Sperry, because I think Sperry is a legitimate thrower of the football. And I would have liked to seen him get a little bit of time against Miami to see what real speed, elite speed is all about. Maybe he's too young for that. I don't know. But I know this. Castellanos is not the guy moving forward. He's a tough son of a bitch. He's a gamer.
It's 1 year. He's here for a year. So, I mean, you just gotta get through it through a year. I think they could still win, 8 games, maybe 9 games, and everybody would take that for sure. I think it's just the win at the beginning of the year, I think, inflated maybe a little bit what the team was.
100%. Well, and they should have beat Virginia. They should have won that game. And Virginia's a good football team as well. So, anyway, let's welcome in our good friend Evan Kolosky from Tampa Bay's 10 and talk a little Buccaneers, and we'll talk a little Rays as well. Good morning, Evan. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. Nice little Knowles talk here.
I had a great time, I can tell you that. We got to the tailgate at noon.
Hey, you win the tailgate. That's half the battle right there.
Tailgate. 63-0, we won the tailgate. It was a blowout. It was an absolute blowout. But shout out to my friends Greg and Shelly Nelson and Johnny on the grill. We had a great setup, and the weather was a little toasty, but saw a lot of great friends, coming by the tailgate. Although Doug Weckner never made it. He said he was coming by, but he never did. Bitch.
Classic Doug.
Get on him.
Classic
Weckner. But I'm sure he had a good time wherever he was. But it was that part was great, and then the game started, and not so good. I mean, I'll let you have a moment here of maybe a little bit more objectiveness than me. I mean, you heard me say it. Miami's the better team, and they may be the best team in the nation, quite frankly.
Yeah, I think Miami's just built different in the trenches. I think at some point Miami's going to stub their toe just because that's what they do over there. It just every time.
Well, Cristobal throwing a pass with 3 minutes left in the game.
Mario, he can't help himself. Now that James Franklin might actually be on his way out, he's like the new winner of the James Franklin Award. Like he's the top tier James Franklin guy. So, but he's been impressive. Certainly a hell of a start to the season. Them in Ohio State. I don't care where you put them, 1 or 2. I think they can be interchangeable. And then FSU, by the way, they lose. I know that Miami kind of slunk back there at the end of the game, but they lost 28-22, and they turned the ball over 3 times. So, like, if you just cleaned it up a little bit, you at least would have given yourself a shot. That's 6 turnovers now in 2 games, and arguably they cost you both of them because you're not, forcing it off yourself. So I still really like Florida State, probably a top 25 team. I don't know if they're necessarily a playoff team, but they certainly would have still been in contention at this point if they didn't lose that game in Virginia, even though Virginia is a good team. If they win out, they'll have an interesting argument.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to get into the playoff, but they would have to win out with some style too, because there's. I don't even know if they have another ranked team on them. I mean, Clemson sucks, so they're not going to. I don't think they're going to get ranked.
Probably not. No.
Maybe NC State, and that's another game they have to play midweek. The ACC is so lovely. They're
gonna have to blow some people out, and I think they have that capability. I do believe in that offense. It's just back-to-back weeks sours you a little bit, but if Norvell can run it up, he's going to run it up.
Well, yeah, but that'd be nice. Give me the floor on this Bucs game. I called it one of the top 5 most entertaining Bucs games I've ever seen. For so many great storylines. You probably needed an hour special last night to get through all of them. But, what grabbed your eye?
First, finding a way to win. that was a really bad spot for the Buccaneers. First off, Tuesday you have 9 guys who don't even participate in practice. You have 14 guys who are limited in some capacity. That's on top of, the 6 guys who are on the IR. So this was a banged up group. And I will say Seattle was banged up too. Both defenses, both teams looked like they were missing some pieces. And that certainly is how it played out. But for this group that is, just absolutely banged up to take the cross country road trip, coming off of that loss against the Eagles, and to just continuously find a way to win. This group has a lot of grit. Like, you look at the Ravens at home against the Texans. The Ravens are dealing with a bunch of injuries, and yes, to the quarterback position, which is way more pivotal than anything else, and just laid an absolute stinker out there. And really, in the Todd Bowles era, say what you want about him, this team just doesn't lay stinkers. I think last year's game against the Broncos was one of the stinkers, one of the only stinkers I can think of, and we were completely underestimating the Broncos at that point. But Abuka continues to shine. The defense finally made some turnovers when they needed to, and Levante caught that pick when they had to. Antoine should have had one. That was a bogus call, but they figured it out. And Baker Mayfield, right next to that Packers game 2 years ago in Lambeau, this was the best we've ever seen Baker Mayfield, and he continues to put himself in position to be part of that MVP conversation. So, I liken this team a little bit to the 2022 Minnesota Vikings. I think that team went 13-4. If you look through that season, the amount of one score wins they had, it was absolutely insane. Certainly, we don't want the playoff result that happened from that team, but they just when if they can get fully healthy, it's clear that they're a contender. They're an absolute contender. They were able to go up there in Seattle and win. They don't have Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan out there yet offensively. Don't have Bucky Irving. Don't have Luke Gedeke. Don't have Izzian. Don't have Jamel Dean. Don't have Benjamin Morrison. And they found a way. And that's all you can ask for. So it's all good. There's a lot. I think we're gonna watch the tape defensively and say what the hell. Yaya and Reddick need to finish plays. They get the
Absolutely.
pressures.
Yeah.
They got to finish though. So there's a lot that we can nitpick in this game for sure, and a lot of teaching tape for all those coaches. But in the end, the biggest takeaway is 4-1, and you keep stacking these wins. You get that much closer to securing your playoff spot, securing a home playoff game, maybe 2 home playoff games, and that's all you can ask for at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think we've said all the year long, it's like it's good that you're learning these lessons with wins and not losses. And I feel like we would all agree, and the Bucs did it last year. I think they were 2-7 in one-score games last year. I mean, these were games they would just find ways to lose. And even though in the middle of these games they seem to be trying to lose them at some times, they find a way, they stay in it mentally. And one of the reasons why it's been that way is special teams. It just seems like it's one thing after the other. Every unit seems to have their go around with this. How do you sort of wrap your head around those issues? And is that even something that's fixable in the midseason?
Yeah, it seems like a personnel issue, considering how much attention they're putting on it. And as you said, it is like a boat with a leak. You fill up one hole, and then you're like, oh shit, where is this hole? It doesn't seem like it's going to be dramatically improved throughout the season. I don't know if that's a personnel deal where Jason Light will actually have to make some little tiny sixth round pick for seventh round pick sort of swap before the deadline to bring in some sort of special teams specialist that can help them. Certainly losing a guy like O'Keefe doesn't get talked enough about his impact in that world. But still, this is outside of week 1 where they had one of the best special team performances we've seen under Todd Bowles. The last 4 weeks have been atrocious. And as you said, it seems silly that the bar is like, oh, they didn't have a field goal blocked and they didn't have a punt blocked. I'm like, well, that's not a bad day, right? Like that, like the bar is so low now, and then they got eviscerated on the kickoff returns. And it is worth noting that the Buccaneers are one of the worst special teams units by EPA whatever metrics that people use, and the Seahawks are one of the best. So that was a mismatch anyway. But you're not going to go to the Super Bowl with a special teams unit like this. You're just not, because games are won the tiniest of margins, and you're kind of getting some of that magic right now. To do that, to think you're going to do that for 3 straight playoff games is unrealistic. It just is. When you're playing other teams at their best to win by these tiny margins and to give teams field position, 7 points on a block punt, or take away 3 points, or make a 10-point swing on a blocked field goal in return, like, you're not going to win playoff games like that. You're just not. So at some point, there's going to have to be a come to Jesus moment of being like, can we save this special teams unit? Is there a personnel issue, or is this a coaching issue? And I know Todd's been wrestling with that fact for a while, and it's entering week 6 now. But those questions are going to continue as we march forward here in the season. And if they're serious about making a Super Bowl, they're going to have to look long and hard, asking, are the answers in that locker room, or do we have to do other things? Because they are playing games with one hand tied behind their back because of their special teams unit, and it continues every week to prove so.
Evan Klosky joining us here for Tampa Bay 10, their sports director. This is kind of a fun one, and I'll say this. At the end, when they were going to go for 2, I thought it was the right call. They won the game, but I thought it was the right call. The way their offense was humming, they had a lot of good matchups. They were down to about their 5th and 6th corner. I'm gonna take my chances there with Baker and Ibuka and Kate Otten and Godwin and everybody else, Rashad White, because you can have a run pass there. You can run the football just as well. So I thought that was the right call. And when they kicked it, I was a little bit like, because they had a minute to go. Our defense hadn't stopped them all game. And if not for that Levante David ricochet, it might have been a different outcome. And had they let them go down and score, I'd have been bitching about that today, that they should have gone for 2. It was a Kansas City situation. What do you think?
So I think differently.
Okay.
Here's my reason why. So if they would have came down and scored, right, they would have been up 1. The field goal, if a field goal happens, a field goal happens, right? You lose no matter what. So that Kansas City game, I believe there was like 15 seconds left, 20 seconds, and Kansas City had 1 timeout. So it was like the probabilities of them getting a field goal were slim to none. That's why you go for 2, because
you saw the Buffalo game. You can't say that.
Well, I'm just saying that, of course that can happen. But the part is, if you don't stop a team with 1 timeout, 20 seconds left from kicking a field goal, then you deserve to lose. But the point is that the probabilities of winning that game are way higher with the 2-point conversion than if you just go for the tie, which was last year's Chiefs' problem. Yesterday, there was 1:08 left on the clock, and Seattle had all 3 of its timeouts. No matter what, you were going to have to get stops. You were going to have to stop them and force them to punt. Now, is there an argument to be made that if you can get all the stops, that you would have won? Yeah, but you also have to realize, if you get the 2-point conversion, now with your crap defense, you're forcing them to go 4 downs. They have 4 downs to work with, instead of 3, where they might have punted it away with 13 seconds left, and you would have forced an overtime. And then at that point, it's, hey, we got our offense versus your offense. We're in it. Something crazy can happen. That's a game where I think they needed to extend their opportunity. If there were 20 seconds left, I would have said, I was thinking yesterday, around 30 is where I think it would have been pull the trigger time. But there was just too much time left on the clock, and they had all 3 of their timeouts. If they even had no timeouts, I would have said go for 2. Seattle had too much time to do their business. I rather the tie and at least give myself the best odds of like, hey, maybe they get in field goal range. Maybe we can maybe we can stop them. They kick a field goal, and at least we can try to set ourselves up for a chase game tying field goal. Like there was just way too much that can still happen in the game. So I was okay with kicking the extra point in that situation due to all the other stuff happening, all the other variables.
And to go back to Baker Mayfield from what yesterday, because I don't think we can say enough about that performance. We went through the numbers earlier, and I'm sure you've seen them too, like the historic nature of the stat line yesterday. And like I said, like I don't know how in the world he was like 20 points off from like a perfect passer rating. And I'm trying to figure out like, okay, what foot did he put wrong in that football game? Like I can't find it, but it is what it is. But his performances this season and yesterday in particular, like we've seen guys like the best quarterbacks in the league, the Mahomes, the Allens, the Burrows, Lamars, when there's been dysfunction around them. And I would argue all four of those squads, while they've been the four best teams in football for so many years, they've had their flaws and they've needed their quarterbacks to put on superhero capes to win football games. I think Jaden Daniels did that a lot last year for the Commanders. I mean, is it time, I think, just as a football community or whatever, like we have to put Baker Mayfield in that tier now and stop saying that this is just like, oh, it's a fun story and what a great story. Like, no, like he is legitimately turned himself into one of the best quarterbacks in football.
Yeah, I think the national community is and has come around, right? Even entering the season, people put Baker as a top 10 quarterback. Now, maybe they put him 10, but they have put him in there. I think the one thing that needs to stop is sort of this narrative of the comeback story and all and resurrecting. And like, we get it, right? Like he is here. He has arrived. He is now a two-time Pro Bowler with the Buccaneers. Like he's been there. He's kind of done that, except win it all. And yeah, I mean, certainly he's someone capable to take you to a Super Bowl. And there are only a chunk of quarterbacks out there who can do that without like a 2002 Buccaneers defense, a Ravens defense, all those all class defenses where it doesn't matter who you have, a quarterback will carry you. Baker's one of those guys, and Jason Light has assembled an amazing team around Baker. I think that the culture in that building is something that has certainly helped along the way, and it's all encompassing.
Absolutely.
So I think that, by now, none of this stuff surprises any of us. I don't think it surprises anybody else nationally as well. I think just the narratives and the modifiers that they put around Baker, it just like those need to kind of simmer down. I think they can just, we can just move on without the comeback story anymore. Like that was 2023 was the comeback story year. Like that was 100% the narrative and understandably so. Since then, it's pretty clear that whoever he's going to work with, he's going to try to make you a head coach. And that's what people need to realize between Canales, between Liam, between Josh Grizzard. There's one
It's
common
Baker.
theme here, and Baker's the quarterback. And not to take anything away from those other dudes, because they're special in their own right, but like Baker's the quarterback, and that's what happens when you have special people under center. You're able to do special things. So I'm really impressed with Baker. Have been since the day that he got to Tampa Bay. And just, for everybody to know out there, you get typically like 3 of these games a year where you have just an unbelievable offensive performance. This is going to be one of them when we get to the end of the year, and then you have 3 just absolutely terrible offensive performances where you go, what the heck was that? We've already seen one of them in Atlanta and they were able to win it. So, just know we're probably going to get 2 more of these where we gush over Baker, and we're probably going to get 2 more games where we're like, what the heck was he doing last night? So just have that coming down the chute. But when you get to the median is still pretty impressive.
Yeah. Evan Klosky joining us here. Did you get a chance to see the Lightning Panthers 12-round bout the other night.
Yeah, no, I think I saw Dana White there. It was crazy. I think
Unbelievable.
they're actually going. They got on the White House lawn. Like they're now in the intro act and all that. Yeah, I don't even know. That was not a hockey game. I don't know what to call that.
Well,
Just
it
craziness.
was exactly what it needed to be. Evan, was
Yeah,
Thursday night. They came in here and they took a cheap shot once again at Hagel with the sucker punch. And at some point, you have to answer. And I don't think the Lightning answered physically as well as they should have in the playoffs. And maybe they just don't have the guys to do that. And when the bully came in on Thursday night and sucker punched Hagel in the face, we even said it I was with Chief and Brian Engblom after the game on the post-game show, and we were like kind of laughing about it. It's like, we got to bring up Savorin, we got to bring up Schmidt, we got to bring up all these guys on Saturday and keep Kucherov and the boys home. And that's exactly what needed to be done. I mean, at some point, I know it's cheesy and, it's bully hockey, but there's only one way to deal with a bully, and that's to bully him back. And that needed to be done. And I'm glad we did it. And I'm glad Ekblad got some of it too.
yeah, and I posted it on Twitter after the Hagel hit, and I said pretty much that, right? Like at some point, if you don't make Florida pay for this, they're going to keep doing it. And so you're going to have to do it. And look, second period they came out. It was very obvious. The message was F the game.
Yes.
We are going to take some bodies. And and even Maroon said after the game, like, there's plenty of more hits out there. I promise you that. There's still some bad blood. And that's the key. And I find it a little bit, the part of the problem is the how the discipline works for the NHL and how they've disciplined Florida. And the fact is, after Brandon Hagel got sucker punched in the head where he got concussed last year by some fourth line scrub, then the guy gets fined, which, is part of his salary. It's all, a formula, but he gets fined $2,000. So if you're in that Lightning locker room and you say, this fourth line scrub just wailed on my 90-point player, and all that's going to happen is him losing $2,000 out of his wallet, you're damn right. I'm going to call up the Goonies and we're going to go to war. And that's just the reality of it. You can hate that out there. You can hate it. All right, that's fine. But that's how hockey works. And and if you're not going to adjudicate correctly, then I'm going to do the adjudicating on the ice. And we are going to make sure that we get our payback because you won't do it. You won't do it correctly. And now what has happened? 4 Lightning players were disciplined. No Panthers were disciplined. You are only creating more of the ripple effect. You're only fanning the flames more in this issue, because when I was watching that game, I legitimately thought, okay, Sabrin was definitely going to get suspension or whatever. Like, that was going to happen. I thought Moser was going to get a hearing, and I thought Carter Verhaeghe was going to get a hearing.
Yeah.
That was that was my initial reaction was, oh, that was a bad one. Oh, that was also a bad one. And the fact that Moser is going to get suspended and Verhaeghe's not even going to get a fine. Not even a fine. No, so there were 300 plus minutes, penalty minutes, and no one on Florida gets a fine.
It's ridiculous.
Tampa Bay is going to there's look, and at least maybe there's nothing the next time we see them. Maybe there's nothing. But I can guarantee you this. If the Florida Panthers sniff in the wrong direction of one of Tampa Bay's best players, they are going to give up the hockey game and they are going to release the hounds. And they are going to go play for bodies once again, because that is ultimately what they have to do to Florida. And the fact is, for Florida, they are probably more built for the round by round of this than the Lightning players. And they might just say, screw it, let's go, and continue to do it. But my guess is around the league, a lot of people are upset, not just the Lightning, mostly in the Eastern Conference, I will say.
I hope so.
And I have a feeling the Panthers are going to face a lot more physical hockey than they're used to day by day in the regular
good
season
point.
than what they have
That's a
in the
good point.
past.
Yeah.
So I think the Panthers, coming off of 3 straight Stanley Cup final appearances, coming off 2 cup wins, I think teams are enough. I've had enough of their crap. Not only do you have the target of just being the winners, which is just, even if they were choir boys, you're going to have a target.
Yeah.
Now you have sort of this mantra of talking that talk, the parading around. They don't even have Kachuk out there, who's the biggest antagonizer out there. And they're going to have to pay for a lot of their sins in a lot of ways that people, Toronto wants a piece of them too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there were a lot of things in that series that ticked them off. So they're going to have to deal with that a lot more than other teams throughout the regular season. And we're just going to see if they get worn down. I'm very interested to see how that plays out. But, big picture wise, this is great to have a rivalry this heated and bad blood. It's going to look awesome in the documentary years from now when we kind of outline like the 10 years, this decade of Florida hockey, and just how amazing it's been. But yeah, I really, my biggest gripe is with the NHL and the disciplinary actions that they have, because they've cornered themselves, because they did not penalize the Panthers throughout the playoffs last year for doing a bunch of things. And if I'm the Lightning, I'm showcasing clip after clip of some of the stuff that they did that they got fined for Moser. And not to mention with Moser, you can just show the Verhaeghe stuff and be like,
Yeah.
that wasn't even finable, and you're gonna do this to me. It's like they're creating it as they go. But whatever, they'll figure it out in November, and I would imagine it will be a little bit more hockey in November. But if one person moves the wrong way, we're gonna go right back to what we just saw.
Maybe
Yeah, I don't know, but they're gonna have to call. They probably are gonna have to call up a Roman Schmidt for those games, like they are.
Yeah, they need
They're
to.
gonna have, and luckily the Bolts do have the salary cap to add a body if they need to, and so I do believe that for the Florida Panthers game,
They're gonna
they will have
absolutely 100%.
somebody. With Sabrin, he's going to get suspended, and then you have to bring him up and have him sit and waste a spot. I don't know if that's ever going to happen for him, but it looks like for like a guy like Roman Schmidt, you can at least bring him up and maybe go like an 11-7 at night and barely play him unless he's necessary. So you kind of play it out, and that's during the playoffs. I don't know what they'll do, but at least you're trying to defend yourself, setting the tone, and that's really what I wanted to see from the Lightning this year. It's like I need to see some pissed off players for what happened last year. I need to see people 100%. Angry, and that's what they got.
100%. All right, Evan, great stuff, my man. Appreciate your time. Tell everybody where they can find all your great content. What's going on at Tampa Bay 10?
Yeah, we air the Blitz every weekend, Sundays at 8:30 in the morning. Our Bucs preview show. Obviously, this week preparing for the Niners game. That will be on 10 Tampa Bay Plus and on our YouTube page Friday night. You don't have to wait till Sunday. You can just watch it on Friday nights at your own leisure. Also, we have the Ultimate Florida Sports show where we talk about all things. Florida State will be mentioned, Miami. We're able to bring in some peripheral pieces in the state that we don't necessarily get to maybe as locally. And then also you can follow me at eKlosky, WTSP on Twitter, X, whatever, and go back and forth with me. 99% of the time I will respond. Unless you're a jerk, I'll just mute or block you. It's pretty easy.
All right, brother. Thanks a ton, man. Appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully.
Yep, I'll see you
at the Big Rays press conference. All right, thanks, man. Yeah, speaking of that, that press conference is at 11:30 tomorrow at Steinbrenner. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the show tomorrow, but I'm going to try to get over there. You have to RSVP to the Rays PR staff, and I think it's the same PR staff at this point. So we'll see if we get a seat at the table. A
lot of questions. A lot of questions to be asked, I'm sure.
Oh,
a lot of questions.
A lot of questions to be asked. And by the way, I have a tidbit on stadium location that I'm going to save after the break. That's called a tease. It is a tidbit. It's maybe even more than a little bit of a tidbit. All right, so we'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. Eric Erlinson's going to join us at 11:30. And then when we come back, I'm going to get to all the comments here as many as we can. So quick break. We're brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. And by the way, thanks again. Folks over there, great customer service, the best in the business. Give them a call. They'll do all the research and save you all the money. 813-877-7799. I've had my insurance with them for over a decade. You will love the service. 813-877-7799. Back in 3.
The holidays are coming up, and the Golden Diamond Source wants to be your family jeweler. Discover the ultimate jewelry superstore with the largest selection of diamonds, engagement rings, and fine jewelry all under one roof. Don't wait any longer to find that one-of-a-kind perfect engagement ring for that special someone in your life. And as your relationship grows, so can your diamond with the Golden Diamond Source. Trade up at any time. You get 100% of its value when you come back to trade up. And why don't you get a head start on your holiday shopping? With the Golden Diamond Source's unbeatable low pricing and financing options, you can get 5 years, 0%, and make this holiday season truly memorable. The Golden Diamond Source takes pride in offering only natural diamonds formed over billions of years by the Earth's incredible forces. If it's real love, get a real diamond. Shop online anytime at goldendiamond.com or stop by their showroom and tell them JP sent you at 3800 Almaton Road, always online at goldendiamond.com. Welcome to Kingmakers, home of the JP Peterson Show studio and Tampa's premier business networking and social club for members only. By day, it's an exclusive, vibrant co-working space with a stylish conference room, focus rooms, a full production studio, and an in-house marketing team. And by night, Kingmakers transforms into a sports-centric social hub with a full sports bar, golf simulator, and exclusive events. For young entrepreneurs and seasoned professionals, it's the perfect place to work hard, play hard, and make big moves in Midtown Tampa. Close the deal, celebrate the win. Only at Kingmakers. Become a member today at kingmakerstampa.com. Your business, your club. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. With this record heat in Tampa Bay, you better have your AC unit running at peak efficiency. Third Generation Plumbing installs the best American standard AC units. Our split systems offer the highest efficiency available while reducing energy bills and maximizing comfort. That's why Third Generation Plumbing trusts American standard air conditioning, built to last, made to perform. Whether it's a new install or an emergency repair, our family-owned team brings 3 generations of trusted service to your home, now with the unmatched reliability of American standard. Plumbing or cooling, we've got Tampa covered. Call Third Generation Plumbing today, 813-961-8024, or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com. And we also do AC.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted number 3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite.
I love it.
So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC, and my good friend Chris Lugo, who was my concierge doctor. If you're still doing the primary care brought to you by your insurance company, I highly suggest you go to BAMMC.com and get a free consultation with Chris Lugo. He will show you what it's all about in terms of personalized medicine, spend a lot of time with you, unlike your primary care probably. It's the way to go. No question about it. You'll have his cell phone number, and if you need a prescription to be called in over the weekend, like I did this weekend, you can get it done. BAMMC.com, concierge medicine the way it's meant to be. Have someone advocating for your health care because the insurance companies, it's more about their profit. BAMMC.com. All right, we got tons of comments. Thank you. We got over 1,000 people watching the show right now on YouTube. It looks like that's a lot of numbers there, Nikki, numbers. And tons of comments too. So let's try to get to all of them. I don't think we will, but we'll give it a shot. All right, let's start. I'm keep rolling back here. And forgive me if we don't get to you. Greg DeCruz coming to you from possibly Costa Rica. How about the right side of that offensive line and the guts to call that sweep to their side on third down? Hey, those guys weren't great, but they did a hell of a job when they needed them the most, and I think that was a great call by Brizard, to be quite honest with you. Did a really nice job. Cade Otton, by the way, as good as he was receiving, he was really good blocking yesterday. He sprung a lot of those runs. What else we got? Bantry says, not to mention it was all the way across the country. I didn't even mention that as far as, the travel out to Seattle. Rick mentions this. Seattle was also playing after 10 days off at home. Yeah. All these things make this win even more impressive. James says the Bucs will offer Rashad a good deal to stay. Hope Rashad would rather be 1B for a good team than get beat up on a bad team. I'm sure the Bucs want to keep him. His blocking is stellar. He's a great teammate. Listen, yeah, he's 1B. You're right. He's a starter. And I know Jason Light wants to keep him. I think it's going to be kind of a matter of if there's somebody out there that's just going to blow him away with a huge contract. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. He's great in our system. He likes it here. I think there's a pretty damn good chance that he stays, and we need him to stay. And yesterday was a perfect example of that. Steve Capatines, I don't know how to say your last name. I'm sorry, partner there. Steve K says, the roughing the passer call on Logan Hall during Seattle's last touchdown drive was so bad and gave them life on that drive. Again, he literally comes up, pulls back, and holds the quarterback up. I would suggest to you in the open field, that would be a training tape for defensive linemen. Like, this is how you hold up and not get a penalty. And they threw it anyway. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. A human being cannot do any better than that who's trying to play the game.
Don't forget the phantom illegal formation call that happened too. That was in there. Where even the announcer, whoever the color guy was yesterday next to Harlan, I'm not sure who it was, but even he was like they showed the replay and he was silent and he was like, okay, I guess. Like, I don't know. What is it? Every game, like, it's just like the Bucs get hosed on like 3 calls.
Yeah. And there was one call. Remember when it was offsides on Vita Vea and they said Jackson Smith and Jigbo was in the neutral zone? I said, you know what? I'm just going to go see. So I rolled the tape back. No, he wasn't. He was not in the neutral zone. And these guys are, and so ticky-tack, man. And then last week you're allowed to mug the receivers. It's
just
so
pick one or the other. One or the other, please.
As Joel Forsland says, the officiating is so awful. No conspiracy or anything. It's so damn bad. Yeah, how could it be so different from one group to the next? That's not a league. The illegal contact call was so late, only called because of the interception. We have no other choice but to believe that when it's that late. Because if it's going to call it, why aren't you calling it when it happens? Not 6 counts afterwards. More right, Brother says it's time to put Baker's name in the conversation with Lamar, Pat, and Josh. I agree. It's not a flash in the pan, as Nick said, anymore. It's not just a good story. It's 3 years of stellar play. of stellar play.
It's getting better every year too. Like he's like upping his level every year.
Yeah. Eric Moreno said, good morning, JP. Do you think Mike Evans plays Sunday versus the 49ers? No. I don't think you need him to play. Honestly, listen, this is what, and I said this last week, Eric, if you can steal this one in Seattle with all these injuries, and now you're 4-1, and you've got that six game block at the end of the year where you're going to be prohibitive favorites, if you can get everybody healthy and get to that point where you're 6-4, which now you might want to get a little bit greedy.
I was going to say, I said I wanted to get greedy and beat Seattle. Like, I've already turned the page and I'm looking at San Francisco. Like, that's another 4-1 football team. Like, that's a dub. I want to get greedy and beat San Francisco, and I want to get over that hump because San Francisco has given them problems over the last few times they played them.
Yeah. Remember, that's 425 game, folks. Remember, that's been changed. Bantry says, with all the money in the NFL makes, not having full-time official is criminal. Listen, I don't even know if full-time is the problem here. I think it's more. I mean, what are they going to do full-time? They spend a lot of time on this. I think it's a leadership issue, and I think, frankly, there's something wonky going on with the way this league is being run. I'm just going to say, it's weird. James says, I agree, JP. Refs taking over the league and making it tough to watch. If Winfield pick stands, Bucs go up 2 touchdowns, but no refs want to be the show. You're right. Something smells with the refs. Yeah, it's like they want to keep every game close. The Jets game was a huge – I mean, that one was ridiculously obvious. Mario Christian says, bad weekend for New York sports. Indeed. Boy, the Yankees just got smoked 2 games in a row. They've given up, 24 runs, 2 games?
It's beautiful to watch, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Richard Bolt says, I know this is Victory Monday, but heard Ken Hagan say on another radio show who will not be named, he said that Orlando could be in play for landing the Rays. Is that even realistic? No, I kind of explained this a few times, Richard. You may have missed this, but it is true. I mean, if Tampa F's this up, then Orlando will be waiting in the wings. Absolutely. And I think what Ken's doing here, rightfully so, is telling everybody in government in Tampa, because there's already a few of these commissioners that are lining up to want to oppose baseball and grandstand, right? So he's trying to make sure that if they do that, that they're put in a position, rightfully so, that if we screw this up, we're just doing it for political reasons to screw it up. You're going to wear that moniker of letting the Rays go to Orlando as a politician. And you don't want to do that. That's the end of your career if you do that. So I think this is more, and I'm not saying it's some, nefarious thing that Ken's doing, and I think it's correct. If we screw this up, they're going to go to Orlando. Don't screw it up. And I don't think we will. But I think that's what that's all about. I wouldn't take it as seriously at like it's, like it's 50-50. Just don't screw it up. Michael LaRue says the game manager has made a difference with clock management. He even stopped Bowles from going for 2. If they miss it, they lose. And even if they make it, Seattle would still have 1 minute and 3 timeouts. I get that, and I think it's probably right. But I think if Levante David doesn't get that interception,
we know how that ends.
That game. Yeah, Bucs lose that game. Am I wrong? I mean, the Bucs lose that game.
So. No, you're not wrong at all. And like I said earlier, I cannot believe of all the sort of gimme interceptions that Levante David has dropped in his career, that the one where he's barely looking at the football is the one that he makes. Like, I'm stunned.
Yeah. John Hill, good morning to you, says it's National Newspaper Week. Please celebrate the fine sports at the Tampa Bay Times. Embracing local journalism for a better future. Yeah. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Greg DeCruz says 5 games is enough for me. He needs to be replaced. Can we trade for someone on the Dolphins or Giants? We talking about special teams coach here, Greg, I think, maybe? Are we talking about Servassier?
I think that was Servassier they were talking about.
Yeah, Servassier is absolutely lost out there. Got to do something there. Try a practice squad guy out, make a trade, change it up. I don't think I'm ready to go there just yet. He's still a very young player. He's still made less than 10 starts in the league. So I just think he's thinking too much out there. He's just thinking.
If the Bucs had a better option in their locker room, I think Todd would have gone to him by now, don't you think? But like we're talking about, do you want 31-year-old Deion Jones who was out of football a couple years ago? Like that's all you can turn to. And then you you have 31-year-old Deion Jones and 35-year-old Levante David out there. Does that sound better to you?
Mm-hmm.
No.
This Edward Lawler says Miami beat, not upset. Did you make the stream today?
No,
Nick,
I did not. That
was
was Tim. No, that was Tim that
Tim
made. Listen, Tim made the stream, and I knew he made the stream because of this right here. When I walked in this morning, I got here this morning, and I saw this.
Doesn't look like either one of us, by the way.
No, but I'm really upset that you actually look like a tough pirate, and I just look like I'm just along for the ride here, like I'm playing dress up.
You look like a Gasparilla newbie. That's what you look like.
Exactly.
Right there.
Exactly.
All right. We'll try to get to the rest of the comments here a little bit, but let's bring in our good friend Eric Erlinson, lightninginsider.com, the best website for all your Lightning news. Has been covering the team for many, many, many minutes. What's up, Eric? How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. You've been covering this team for a long time. Have you ever seen anything like what we've just seen in the last two preseason games?
No, not even close.
No,
I mean,
it's not good
for
hockey, but it's something the Lightning 1,000% had to do.
And
we're
in
forced
fact,
to do.
like, you remember what the motto or the marketing slogan campaign was for the Rays back in the Jose Canseco, Vinny Castillo days? Yeah, what was it? Add an S into one of those words, and you get what we had Thursday and Saturday between these two teams. I mean, Thursday was one thing because if AJ Greer doesn't sucker punch Brandon Hagel, which was clear carryover from the playoffs last year.
Yes,
absolutely clear, and probably from the the statements that Hagel made at the end of the season when he said he was basically willing to get his ass kicked rather than having Ekblad go straight for his head the way he did.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was in response to that. So if Greer doesn't do that, I don't think what erupted erupts.
Yeah, I agree.
But it did. And, it's funny. In 2022, when the Lightning beat the Panthers in round 2 of the playoffs and swept them, what was the one thing that everybody said about the Panthers? They're getting pushed around by the Lightning. Right? You had Pat Maroon, and you still had those players, Corey Perry on the Lightning roster at that time. So what do the Panthers do? They go out and make a big trade for Matthew Tkachuk and kind of changes the complexion of their entire roster and their attitude of their entire roster. Now all of a sudden the Panthers, and there's no doubt that the head coach sort of fosters a lot of this mentality that they have. Now all of a sudden,
100%. Don't mean to interrupt, but that needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
Continue.
So now all of a sudden the Panthers are the ones that feel that they have to push back, and, they're seen as the little brother. So they're going to push back on big brother. Right. And now here we are in 2025, the roles have been completely reversed, right? The Panthers are the team that have won back-to-back Stanley Cups, and they're the team that's been to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. Now it's the Lightning who feel that they have to show that they're not going to be pushed around by the Florida Panthers. And so that's why everything that happened this weekend was because of all that sort of underlying taking place. And again, Thursday was Thursday. You see why that spark ignited that fuse. And then we get to Saturday, where once you found out that Florida was sitting their top players, the Lightning were going to sit their top players, they call up Scott Sabourin and they call up Roman Schmidt. There's a clear message of what's going to take place in that game as well. Yeah. And Scott Sabourin had the most significant 19-second shift I can ever remember, because that set off everything. And it's not good for hockey for that to happen. It's not good when the Lightning have 6 players in the penalty box and 4 remaining on the bench, right? It's not good when the coaches can outnumber the players that are available on the bench. It's not a good look that after every single stoppage of play, there's something going on. And I get it. Like, I understand from a hockey player's point of view why all of that took place. And, I said it on the post-game show with Greg and Chief that no matter what your feelings are about what happened in Thursday and particularly in Saturday, from a Lightning perspective, what happened on Saturday galvanized that room.
Absolutely.
Galvanized that team, put a big chip on their shoulder, and basically said, we're not going to stand for this anymore from that standpoint. When you get guys like J.J. Moser, boarding players, Carter Verhaeghe, who we know, he's one of the nicest guys I've ever come across in hockey, and that's saying something. But when he leaves his feet to deliver a hit to the back of Zemgus Girgensons, I mean, we've crossed a line.
Yeah.
Right?
Big time.
So,
Big time.
But for the Lightning team, I guarantee you, because everybody that was called up, Dylan Duke, Stahoviak, all these players, the 6 guys that came up from Syracuse, as of this morning, we're still with the team for team bonding. But I can tell you, there was a lot of team bonding that took place on Saturday because everybody has everybody's back. And it just, you go back to one of the comments that John Cooper made earlier in training camp, where he said he's never really had a group of players in his 13 years here as head coach that have been so together from a training camp standpoint. And he's enjoyed it. And you can see how everybody cares. And when you watch what happened on Saturday, you see where that comes from.
Yeah.
So again, whether we agree with all the actions that took place, and again, it crossed a line, but if you're just talking about what it meant for the Lightning as a team, they came together as a group of 30, 35 players, because Scott Sabarin wasn't here last year.
Mm-hmm.
He was in San Jose's organization, but he took care of business because he went after Aaron Ekblad, right? Because Ekblad is the one and showed absolutely no remorse. Ekblad showed zero remorse for potentially, thank God it didn't happen, but potentially ending a guy's career.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't talk about that enough, that he could have ended Brandon Hagel's career for a payback for something that Hagel got suspended for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Roman
and
Schmidt was in the
cowardly
organization.
hit to the back of the head where the guy doesn't even see you coming. I mean, it doesn't get any weaker than that.
So.
And to hear the Panthers broadcasters, I saw some of the clips on Twitter, like act like they've done, like, oh, Sabor, I can't believe he did that to Eric Blatt. I'm like,
right to the head.
I was gonna say, Eric, like I don't know if I'm just forgetting, when the Lightning were obviously the aggressor on the Panthers in those playoff series. I don't know if I'm forgetting, but I don't recall it looking like it did the last 2 years when the Panthers were on the aggressor. Like they've taken it to like this different level, right? Yeah. That's the way I feel. And the way I view it's like last year you had the, Hagel, they took Barkov out of the game, whatever. And then they retaliate. I understand what Hagel said after the season ended, but on the ice, like I thought that was like, it's finished. Like you got your retaliation, you knocked him out for the rest of the series, gave him a concussion, like you said, could have ended his career. And then Greer just like, why? It's like, why was that needed there? And then to me, the Lightning's response to it was, yes, they wanted to prove a point, to Florida, but I feel like a lot of it was to prove a point to NHL player safety too, for not doing their job correctly. Yeah. And we evident by the fact that the Verhaeghe hit was probably the worst hit in that game, and it got nothing. So it's like, where do we go from here? Did we solve anything? Because I mean, the way I view it, I don't think we did.
No, this isn't over. Circle November 15th. Seriously, it's not over. It's not over because, and look, in the league, there's people who have spoken to both teams about what took place, as you would expect, right? That has to happen. You can't have this happen in hockey anymore. This is not Mike Milbury go up in the stands, beat a guy with a shoe. Like those days have to be long gone. And this is one step below that. Right. So you can't have 320 plus. You can't have 16 ejections. Technically it was 14, but 16 players were kicked out of the game, including 2 at the, got misconducts with 5 minutes to go. You can't have 16 players ejected from a game. And I thought the refs were a little trigger happy, right? Because what Roman Schmidt did, that's not ejectable under the rules of the game, but they knew. I mean, the referees knew what was going to happen. It's like the singing out of Slapshot, where the referee during the national anthem is, you can just see him twitching, and he goes back and talks to the Hanson brothers. I got my eyes on you. Like, that was going to happen. The referees knew exactly what was going to take place in that game. And I understand why Sabourin was thrown out as quick as he was, because that was trying to set a tone. But in a way, because of the way, and again, same officiating crew from Thursday was on the ice on Saturday, because of how they handled that so quickly, it actually, I think, escalated it even more.
Yeah.
And that's where referees are trying to cool the temperature, but they actually helped heat things up a little bit. And great, you threw out 3 guys, 2 from one team, 1 from another 7 minutes into the game, but you didn't calm temperatures down, because there's a code in hockey where, and it should have been answered, as we talked about, but if you'd have let, I don't know, Sabourin take care of Ekblad, Schmidt take care of Greer and settle those situations, maybe things are done. Things are done. But you threw Schmidt out of the game so quickly like, I don't even know why he was fined. Like, he didn't do anything to me that crossed the line.
And Verhaeghe wasn't.
And Verhaeghe, who left his feet and delivered a hit square to the numbers and drove a guy's head into the sideboards, and that got nothing, not even a fine. And maybe if the league addressed, maybe they need to start addressing sucker punches like the ones that Greer delivered, maybe a little bit more sternly, rather than saying, here's a $200 fine, which is basically what the equivalent of it is. It's not good. It's not good for hockey. It's good for the Lightning players and the locker room and everything, but from the outside looking in, it's not good for the sport in the long run. But like I said, this is not over, and I wouldn't be surprised if prior to November 15th, Scott Sabourin gets tapped on the shoulder and says, hey, come back up for this game.
Yeah, he deserves it. He deserves a nice week of NHL salary for what he did. Attaboy. Eric Erlinson joining us here at lightninginsider.com, the best website to follow the Lightning. So where does this leave the Bolts now for opening night? I guess JJ's probably going to be suspended. Hedman hasn't skated in a week. I'm not sure what's going on with Hagel. What do you know? What can you tell us? Where are we at?
Well, I got good news, a little bit of good news on that front. The team is practicing in Estero, on the ice as we speak, and I saw reports that Hedman was skating, Hagel was skating, and Radish was skating. Radish hadn't skated Friday or Saturday after his fight with Greer in that game on Thursday. So those 3 guys are all back on the ice. That's good news, especially Hagel and Hedman. Hedman hasn't skated for a week and a half, at least with the team. He might have skated on his own that we're not aware of. But so that's good news. Moser has a hearing today along with Sabourin. I would expect it. Generally, when you get a hearing, unless your name is Tom Wilson, you get a suspension, right? So I think that there's a really good chance that Moser, who's never been suspended in his career, is going to not be available for the season opener on Thursday. But at least now they have, they have some good news with those guys back on the ice.
And I suppose we'll see when the season begins where he's at completely. But Vasilevsky, I think everybody saw, like, they went out and got Phoenix Copley, and everybody was like, oh, what does that mean? I don't know what it means other than just depth at this moment, added depth. But that was sort of the other sidebar to that game, that was his debut. In the preseason.
Oh yeah, by the way.
And I was like, what, that's probably wasn't the greatest game probably for him to have to be, and I hated it, and he gives up 6 goals on 26 shots or whatever it is. But what is your confidence level in him right now and where he's at heading into the season?
Well, the 6 goals are irrelevant, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure they were all power play goals, including a 5-on-3, right? So it was a difficult game to gauge a goaltender coming back on. Because it's not the same sort of, the big things with goalies is when they miss time, like it's getting back to finding the puck quickly. It's dealing with the motion that's moving in front of you, trying to look around screens and all that stuff. You can't really replicate that in a practice. You can try, but it's never the same at game speed. We know that. So it's kind of hard to judge all of that with that game where I'm not even sure there were 10 minutes of 5-on-5 play total in that game. Sitting next to Chief during the game on Saturday, he didn't look like he was moving great side to side, right? That's one of his signatures, is his ability to get from post to post. He looked a little slow by his standards getting there. He was, looking around screens and, finding things, but he never made a difficult save. I think he had one save. You could say, that's a pretty good stop. There's definitely question marks. There's no doubt about it for a guy that missed 10 days of training camp, wasn't on the ice, wasn't on practice. And even when he did practice, his first time on the ice was with 7 guys because it was the non-game group on the day that the game was played in Orlando. The next day was a day off. Thursday was a morning skate. Friday was a practice that he took full part in. Saturday was a game. Yesterday was off. And now he's only got 2 more days of practice, right? They're practicing in Estero today. They will practice on Wednesday. The season opens on Thursday. So it's not a lot of time for him to kind of be where he's at or where he needs to be at. But I know he's 30 now. But the 2 times that he's had extended periods off because of injury, 2018 was the broken fractured foot that he suffered. His first game back after a month, he stopped 48 shots against the Maple Leafs. And then after the back surgery a couple years ago, the game in Carolina, only faced 24 shots, but looked sharp in that game. So you, at least based on past history, extended time away from the game has not seemed to bother him. I think what I would be a little concerned with is his comments when training camp opened was him talking about how his body doesn't respond the way it used to. He understands he's older. Like sometimes I don't wonder if Andre Vasilevsky is fighting Andre Vasilevsky in these situations because he has to talk himself into being the same guy he was, which, I mean, none of us are the same we were at 22, 23, 24 years old. And I'm sure for professional athletes, it's on a completely different level when they don't trust themselves as much. So I think he just has to get back to trusting himself in a lot of ways. And so we'll see. And then they're going to need, they're going to need him. Obviously, he's the backbone of this team. His success usually tends to drive the team's success. He's coming off a year in which, we didn't really talk about him much. He set a career best in goals against average, right? He was 2.18. It was his best career goals against average for a guy that's been a Vezina finalist 5 times and won a trophy last year. Statistically, anyway, from a goals against average was his best year.
Eric Erlinson joining us here. So a couple more roster decisions to make. Where do you think that sits at the bottom of the roster? And just throughout training camp, are there guys that you think are going to maybe be called up that can that might be able to contribute this year?
Well, first of all, Nick brought it up. Phoenix Copley looks like they're going to start the season with 3 goalies. So if that kind of gives you any indication, the Lightning are trying to figure out, exactly where Vazzy is. It's insurance, and it's nice to have it because you look at their depth. You go Vasilevsky, Johansson. After that, you got one career start in the organization, and that's Brandon Halverson, who did not look very good on Thursday with a couple of mistakes that he made in that game against the Panthers. So Copley at least has, some NHL experience, 70-plus games under his belt, and the opportunity to bring him in. So it looks like they're going to start the season with 3 goalies on the roster. Declan Carlisle was placed on waivers yesterday for purpose of reassigning. His rosters are due to the league by 5 o'clock today. We'll find out at 2 o'clock if he clears. But the one thing that I've seen throughout this entire camp is, sure, they're not a top 5, even a top 10 organization when it comes to the prospects and the farm system. They just, when you don't have a first-round draft pick, you're just not going to have that type of talent in your system. But what we've seen is guys like a Declan Carlisle who's knocking on the door. Max Crozier is going to make the team out of camp this year. Jack Finley is on this roster to start the season. A guy like, Wojtek Stachowiak, who comes over from the German league, a little bit older, 26 years old, but, he's a guy that looks like he can play games in the NHL. They bring back Boris Kachuk, who's looked really good in training camp. It really fits some depth. Dylan Duke is kind of knocking on the door. Dominic James, who's come out of nowhere. He was a former draft pick of the Chicago Blackhawks, never signed a contract, finished his 4 years at Minnesota Duluth, literally signs a contract in the middle of training camp, parachutes in and drives himself up the depth chart. I mean, you can see the speed and the hockey IQ that this guy has and the impact that he can make. So he's really opened a lot of eyes. He's still with the team as of today. I'm almost positive he'll start the season down in Syracuse. But there's a lot of players that maybe we didn't think were on the cusp of being in any type of NHL readiness that show that they are. So their depth, I think, this year is going to be a big factor in what they're able to do, because it was a part of their downfall last year. Right? They didn't have a third line type of situation that you could count on. This year, I think they're going to have that. And I think they're going to have it with a fourth line too, because we don't talk about Pontus Holmberg, who was injured for a good portion of training camp. His first game was, oh, by the way, it's the penalty fest, the penalty palooza. That was his first game of preseason action, but he's a guy that can, pop in some goals, and, he's going to be an extremely hard worker, kind of fits that bottom line mentality. So yeah, I feel better about the depth of this organization exiting training camp than they did entering it.
All right, last question for you. As you know, this is the one I get all the time. What's going to be different this year? The Panthers are the Panthers. We kind of didn't make any major moves in this offseason. My answer is, Bjorkstrand didn't play in the playoffs, and a lot of our guys were beat up, and we don't know what the deadline holds. And those were two key acquisitions last year, Seth Jones and Marchand, that I think put the Panthers over the top. So there's a lot that can change, but more than anything, hopefully Connor Geekie gets better, some of these younger players, and to your point, the third and fourth line could be more effective. So what would your answer be to that question?
Well, we didn't even mention Nick Paul, who's obviously missed all the training camp with the wrist situation. He's out until at least the end of this month. I would say, obviously you're judged on the playoffs, right? And we talked about this. I know, JP, I know we talked about it. Yeah. Whoever won that series between Tampa Bay and Florida last year was probably going to go to the Stanley Cup final.
Yep.
And there were a lot of people who felt that way, and there were a lot of people who picked the Lightning. We felt that they were better equipped. But they did bring in Marchand, and they were able to acquire Seth Jones, and Kachuk came back. He certainly wasn't 100%, as we now know, as he's going to miss a good chunk of this season for the Panthers. So what has to change? I don't know that a ton has to change, right? I think you have to have a couple of breaks. I mean, the game-winning goal for Florida in Game 4, which the Lightning should have won and could have won, and they had a lead late, goes off a couple of skates. It's similar to that series against Toronto in 2023 where even, the series clinching goal went off of 2 skates. You need some puck luck to go your way. Sometimes you create your own luck. I do think that the Panthers did sort of push around the Lightning. I mean, you think about the Kachuk hit on Gensel, which a scummy hit can be, after an empty net goal is scored. And, so that's why what took place this weekend was message sending, that you're not going to push us around. So I just think, and to me, sometimes it's just a mental thing, right? It's just pushing past, because there were not a lot of changes to the roster made, but this is a team that led the league in scoring. Were 6th in defense, 5th in power play, even though the power play was inconsistent. They were top 6 in penalty kill. Their 5-on-5 game was one of the best. I mean, statistically,
it was awesome.
They were one of the best regular season teams in a while. Probably better than a lot of the teams that won the cup. For the Lightning teams that won the cup in terms of those statistics. So, but now you do have a full year of Oliver Bjorkstrand, knock on wood. By the way, story up on Lightning Insider, shameless plug about the surgery he had last year. He has a scar on his left leg that goes from his knee to his hip when he had to have that. It was a lot of pressure.
Emergency surgery,
in the quad muscle. So, he was very gracious in his time with me in talking about that. But you will have a full year of him. He's going to get number 1 power play time. He's going to be a factor on that power play. You bring in a Holmberg, you get another year older of Connor Geekie, you bring Yanni Gourde, whose energy is still infectious, and what he can do to this lineup. So like we talk about changes, what needed to be changed. Well, I mean, Bjorkstrand and Gord didn't come in until March last year, right? So you get a full year of them. And so I'm bullish on this team. I know a lot of people are, even if you look at the odds makers, they have them as behind Carolina as the second best odds to reach the Stanley Cup final out of the Eastern Conference. Toronto probably taking a step back after the loss of Mitch Marner. The Bruins are not going to be the Bruins. They are not a factor. Montreal had a great year last year. Can they replicate it with some of the great young talent they have there? We'll see. The Panthers, no Kachuk to start the season. Barkov gone for the entire season. That's a huge loss for that team. So the division, I feel, is there for Tampa Bay, to take. Ottawa's going to be better. Buffalo, at some point, you'd think they have to get better, but they still don't have any goaltending. So the division is deeper. It's going to be harder to get points out of. But I think a lot of people look at this Lightning teams and say that they're the best in the division and should be at the top when you get there in April. And then after that, man, it's all about matchups. All about that 04 team didn't have to play the Ottawa Senators. Probably a big reason why they were able to get to the Stanley Cup final and win it that year is because they didn't have to run into Ottawa. Sadly for Tampa Bay the last 2 years, it's been Florida. And if you face Florida, you're going to have to find a way to get over that hump.
They're the standard right now. All right, Eric, great stuff as always, my friend. LightningInsider.com. You got to subscribe. Best website and following the Bolt. So do that right now, all of you. Stat. Thank you, Double E's. Appreciate it.
All right, boys. Be well.
All right. Before we go, let's get to some more comments here as I get my glasses. Anything catch your eye, Nick? Feel free to throw anything up that you like.
Yeah, I'll try to get through some of the – I was trying to see if we had any comments here about the college because I know we didn't really get much into like the college football stuff
let's do
weekend. I'll go to Danny Boy Kane. I was going to Danny Boy Kane right here. He said, "Good morning, JP. Thank you for the gift, by the way. I know we did not upset FSU. We beat FSU into the ground, though. FSU did come back late, but the game was in hand at that point. Yes, we got too sloppy in the fourth quarter, and there are a lot of things to clean up before Louisville."
Yeah, I think I was trying to, find out from some people if they thought that comeback had any meaning to it. I'm 50-50 on that. I mean, maybe it did. To me, it showed that FSU had some fight and didn't give up. And
last year's team would have rolled over, in the second quarter. So
yeah. And here's the thing. I thought Miami was going to bully FSU, and they didn't. They didn't bully FSU. They didn't run them into the ground, like you said, Danny, with their running game. What FSU did says, we're going to make Carson Beck beat us and your receivers, and they did.
Yeah, which was the right way for FSU to approach that game. Carson Beck, and when he had to throw further than 10 yards downfield all season long, Carson Beck has been like below average.
Yes,
he beat you on Sunday. He beat you on Saturday, and then you were turnover city, and Gus did what comes with the Gus experience. And trust me, I know. It's a little too cute sometimes, and he tried to get trickery, and you can't be trickery. You can't do that against that Miami team. You just
in the 4th and 8 in the second quarter was a stupid call in a 7-3 game. That's and then Norvell
why be desperate there? Why be desperate?
It sends a bad message to your team. It's a low percentage 4th and 8 with Tommy Castellanos. I mean, if you got a legitimate passer and a two-way, you have a two-way go. Maybe. But with a guy like that, who's a 50% passer at best, it's not a good play. And Norvell is a bad game manager. And this team has some way to grow. I think there's a lot of pluses on it. They've come a long way from last year. Beating Miami was going to be tough. Turning it over 3 times is ridiculous. But they've got some fight in them, and they didn't quit. And I'll tell you this: being at that game. And the new stadium, everything that comes with it, what Michael Alford is doing as an athletic director and all those recruits that were on the sideline, even though Miami won the game, if you go to a Miami game, it ain't that. It's not that. These kids want to play in an atmosphere like that. So I think from a recruiting standpoint, the fact that FSU did come back was important. If you want to analyze the game and say FSU was not even close to Miami, I think that's wrong. Some people have said they're not a top 25 team. I think FSU is a top 25 team. You beat Alabama. You can't take that away. Okay. But that being said, Miami's the better team. They may be the best team in the nation. And so it's no sadness to lose to Miami. But we've got, Norvell needs to clean up his game management. Castellanos, he's just, I don't know, man. I would like to see Kevin Sperry play a lot more. I would like to see him take at least 2 or 3 series a game from here on out.
Right, yeah. And I think another problem with Tommy is I think his explosiveness. I mean, he's been on the injury report and probable and all this stuff for the last few weeks. I just don't think he has the go as much as he did
the deuce,
in that Bama game. But FSU just needs to win. I mean, first of all, win a conference game. I mean, they got Pitt this week. I'm going up this weekend, and I'm a little blowed that kind of my excitement to go up has been zapped a little bit, and it's a nooner. But try to win a conference game and go from there, please.
It's a big game for FSU. All these turn into big games. And listen, this season is kind of on, the precipice. It could go one of 2 ways. Pitt's a good team, and
Pitt switch quarterbacks, and the new quarterback threw for 4 touchdowns and like 400 yards this past weekend. So not going to be easy. So getting a win over Pitt it'd be a good win for FSU, and they need to go on a roll here in the conference and win 7, 8, 9 games. Now they're not a playoff team right now. Let's see what they become. I think there's a lot of talent on this team. I mean, Deuce is the real deal. I don't know what the hell's happened to Jalen Lucas. He's our Malachi Toney, and he doesn't touch the ball in situations that he should touch the ball. They got to get him into the flat, get him into the passing game. He's a game breaker. Yeah. And Chroma's a good player. The Boggs, the freshman receiver, showed me something. So I think we learned a lot about some good young players there. Defensively, they've got to get better, especially in the secondary. But again, Malachi Toney's really freaking good. CJ Daniels is really freaking good. Carson Beck had a really good game. Yeah,
what's that?
Toney? I'm just trying to figure out how in the world Malachi Toney, who just turned 18 2 weeks ago, by the way, was a 3-star recruit in this cycle. Yeah, I'm trying to figure because that guy moves different. That guy just moves different.
Yeah,
it's insane.
He's Tez Johnson. He's Tez. He's Bucky. He's really freaking good.
Yeah.
Got
to give love to the. I know it hurts, JP, but you got to give love to the Florida Gators for what they
Gators played really well. Hey, I predicted they'd win that game. So there you
did. Go. There you go. Did you think they're going to control the line of scrimmage though, like that to that extent?
No, I did not.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, they're good. They're really talented. Nick Saban said this a couple weeks ago. This is the best Florida roster he's seen in a long time. And Lagway was way better in the play action. And with Jaden Ball running the way he did on that first touchdown,
Dallas Wilson making his debut, Tampa Bay Tech
kid. Touchdown, holy crap! I mean, at the end of the game, that guy that big safety comes over and hits him and bounces off him. That kid's the real deal. Mm-hmm. I mean, Florida can go on a run here. They can go on a run.
Yeah, we saw when they were backed into a corner last year and there was all the noise about Billy's job, they sort of came to play. Now, granted, Texas is just, this is the most disappointing team in the nation right now next to Penn State based on preseason expectations. But they just weren't even close.
Arch was better, but still threw two terrible picks in the end of the game. Terrible.
Every pass out of his hand is a wobbler. I just don't get it with him.
He's not good. He's just, listen, I don't want to say I feel for the kid. He's making $5 million a year, and he's terrible. He played against terrible high school competition.
Yeah, and everybody say he was a great athlete. I don't see it. I'm middling at best.
Well, it's like, genetics. Eli and Peyton aren't exactly great athletes. I mean, what are we talking about? You don't hand down that kind of poise and ability to read defenses and check at the line of scrimmage. I mean, that was their superpowers, not their athleticism by any chance. So the genetics argument, I don't get. Archie might be the best athlete of the family. So listen, it is what it is, but he ain't that good. Yeah. He ain't that good.
And then
and USF.
Last but not least, the USF Bulls on Friday night.
Yep, 24th in the nation now, right ahead of Florida State. Looked really good offensively again. I think they probably gave away a couple, in the turnovers. It could have been a much bigger game. But glad I bought the half a point and cashed 28 with that late touchdown. Thank you very much, Coach Golish. Appreciate that. They're a good football team. But they got to go to North Texas this week.
Yeah, this is the game of the year. This is the game of the year for them.
Yeah. So, a lot of great. So we got Lots more we need to get to, and we'll do that the rest of the week. 2 hours is not enough or more, so we'll do that. And thank you guys for your comments again. Hopefully we got to most of them. Really appreciate it. Great stuff. And Andre all day, I wanted to get to this one. Kevin Harlan should announce every Buccaneers game from now on. Amen, brother. Amen. Because he is fantastic. I love the way he adds the emotion to the game, and he keeps Jonathan Vilma off my screen. Thank God. All right. Thank you guys once again for watching. We had huge numbers today. Nick, guys, for Tim putting up there Miami upset FSU. That wasn't supposed to be there. That's not what happened. Upset me, but did not upset FSU. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Come here. Quickly. Hurry. Happy birthday to this gorgeous one. Happy birthday to you. Goodbye, everybody.